Hey everybody and welcome back. We're back with a tier list One Piece live action characters. This is a tier list, by the way, about the performance of the characters, not the characters inherently themselves, because really to me, like, I have vested interest in a lot of the characters, but in terms of the performance, this is where we're gonna rank. Like, how good does that character, like, how good are they as the character and how good did they capture everything? Because this is not like a favorite list for One Piece. I have not done a One Piece character tier list. That would be insane, but we're going to do like the major characters from the live action. I'm going to go over how I felt that they actually did, and I think tier list is a very good way to do that. I hopefully have Thursday Thermal Takes coming out this week about it. Very late, I know, because I'm very late to the party on this one, and just a lot of crap going on personally and everything. But doing stuff. We're gonna start with Luffy. Luffy was really the big heavy lifter in this. Luffy honestly did a superb job. Or in Yaki Godoy, he did a really good job doing Luffy, because as a man playing Luffy, he was able to have fluid movements that make it seem like Rubber Man stuff. He was able to deliver a lot of lines and have really authentic smiles, and like just it brought to life. Like, I don't know how an actor does an authentic character so well, especially when they're like, this guy's not even a known actor. Like, Iñaki Godoy is not a not a big deal, but like Oda's a Giga Chad. He was the one who really had his sights set on this guy. He cast the author of One Piece. We gotta go for it. I mean, this is just like main character protagonist 8 out of 8 level, like 8 out of 8. There is no, like, it's hard to say like 10 out of 10, because I feel like it's like a 9.75 or maybe something like that, but still 8 out of 8, 10, basically 10 out of 10. We'll say Luffy did a pretty like textbook, what you would consider perfect job, or Inyaki did a perfect job doing Luffy. All right, next one. We got Zoro. I'm gonna say above average. I thought that McKenna did a really good job. Part of it is that his expressiveness wasn't necessarily there. Zoro can be kind of expressive as a character, and I know this is like a lot of the comic goofy pirate manga stuff, but Zoro does cool stuff, but the expression is also there. This is where, to me, it was like McKenna was like an 85 out of 100, 8.5 out of 10 here. I'll say he did a really good job. Like, for above average, like he's pretty high on that above average list, but he still did a really good job. Like, there's not a lot you could have super improved on. Some of the delivery of the lines didn't feel very like Zoro-y in a minor aspect, but not in any major aspect. He did a really good job. Nami, we're gonna go crappy. Hot take. Emily Rudd, 4 out of 10. Performance for Nami. Like I said I ended up saying in the Thursday Thermal Takes video, this Nami is more like a bitchy than a Nami. Like, Nami is incredibly emotionally all over the place. She has a lot of range, expression, all that stuff. Emily Rudd gets some credit because she did the scene pretty well. Like, that scene, maybe I should say 5 out of 10 even, because she did the scene pretty well. You know, the one, the help me or whatever. And I think that the main issue that I saw with this whole performance by Emily Rudd is that her character, like, semblance of a character, very distant, not very like into it. Like, it feels like there's a lot of characters that are so poorly done in Western stuff, and a lot of women in Western stuff. I feel like that just the general acting isn't always there, and it's not necessarily even the women. Like, some of the best actors that I've ever seen are women. It's just that there's this like resting bitch face, a lot of like robotic tone, or at least the much more robotic than like some of the expression that you see in some of the men. I mean, Zoro is less expressive than Nami by a factor of like bajillion. In the context of One Piece, and best Zoro is cool and awesome. Best Nami is fun and emotional, and Nami was like kind of fun, not really that emotional, and it's kind of what I felt like through the most of watching this show, is that Nami was just kind of like fell flat performance compared to everyone else, at least. Usopp, Jacob Romero Gibson, 100% 10 out of 10. This guy not only looks like Usopp, like, they made him really look like Usopp too, and 100%, like, This guy, perfect. I mean, I don't. I'm just above Luffy. I mean, I'd say that the portrayal of Usopp was pretty good. Actually, I'll switch back because I felt like Usopp was sort of more of a cool funny guy than like a goofy funny guy, and so in that sense, it's not as true to the character, but it's still amazingly superb. Like absolutely 100%. Now, Taz, Skylar, Sanji. This is one of those where I'm like iffy. I'm like, because first, one, he's British, and I don't know why Sanji's British, and it doesn't really affect his character that much. It's just kind of weird. Number two, the character, they didn't write Sanji to be very good in the live action, because live action Sanji, he shows up over halfway through the series, like the half after the halfway point is when he shows up, and he shows up pretty early in One Piece itself. Like after Surf Village was not as long, the buggy stuff was not as long. Like you had 4 episodes of basically the first 20 episodes of one, or the first 19 episodes of One Piece in the anime. That was the first 4 episodes in the live action. You get a lot more Sanji in both the Arlong Park arc and the Baratier arc in the manga and the anime. You don't get as much here, so it's like he's not working with as much. I'll give him a little bit of credit for that, but what he did pretty well. I think honestly, I don't know. He makes me question. Above average, about right. I feel like this is about right. Like especially on this scale, I feel like this gives kind of a good concept of where things are. Koby, by the way, above average. He definitely did a good job. Whatever the guy's name is, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But Koby, the guy who played Koby, he did a really good job. Like this is literally Koby. Like I mean, it's just ripped straight out. And the only reason I'm not putting him in superb is because Koby is not a complex character, really. I know a lot of people do indeed like Koby, but I just don't like. He did Koby incredibly well. Like what I would think. I don't know. I mean, it's just part of me is just there was too much Koby, and that's part of the issue I had with the whole thing as a whole. Like, we'll see. We'll see where my opinions lay later. Like if he could pull off like post pubescent Koby, kind of like I don't know what the glam up Koby. Red haired Shanks. I'll say this was about right. I don't think it was like an amazing performance necessarily, because it didn't feel like, it felt like Shanks is a very like comforting figure, but also awesome and powerful. Shanks is like the Jesus of One Piece. This guy is kind of like the sort of tumbleweed of One Piece in the live action. Like, and I don't mean to like overstate Shanks in the manga and the anime, but like Shanks is pretty awesome. This guy is like, he's not bad. He definitely does it well, but it's just kind of like, it's about right. Like I'm not like overly invested in this Shanks like I am in manga anime Shanks. Iron Mace Alvida did an actually pretty good job. Like if I were to, and this is the thing, is like we didn't see enough of her, but what we we have seen, it's hard for me not to put her in above average, because I feel like she really, I actually, you know what, I will. She really pulled off that whole thing. She really did a good job. Whatever her name is, Ilsa or something or other. I can't do a foreign name right now. I'm a little tired, but also just like Alvida was a really good character in the in the anime. Compared to in the manga, she's just like thump punch, and then she comes back later, and we haven't seen her coming back later really. I think part of it is like if they have her do smooth stuff, like actually in season 2 or whatever, whenever she gets like reintroduced into the show, effectively speaking, then I'll be able to tell more. But I don't know. She's at the tail end of above average. I thought she did a really good job. I thought she was kind of like a she felt like you ripped her straight out of the manga, kind of like you ripped her straight out of the manga in a human form, and did a really good job with the very little bit of on-screen shit you saw. Like perfect Alvida. I mean, it's like, it's not a hard character, but she did it completely well. Helmeppo, gonna go in superb. Helmeppo was maybe one of the biggest highlights of the series, the way they did this character is better than the way they do it in the manga. And this is something you'll hear me say like a couple of times. Helmeppo in the live action is better than Helmeppo in the manga. Helmeppo in the manga is a background figure. Helmeppo in the live action is like perfect. Like every conceptual piece of Helmeppo shines so well, and it's really hard to express like the arrogant douchebag pretentious prick that Helmeppo is. They just do it so well in the live action. It's really hard to state. Just like Helmeppo was maybe, aside from his ass, very very peak One Piece live action. Captain Morgan, I'll put him in the bout right. Morgan, he did a good job. Like he feels like a really good dictator, like a sort of very. I've heard people say Putin-esque. I don't know if he's really like the Vlad, but I don't know. He has like this sort of this crummy but still intimidating dictator kind of idea, and then they pulled it off really well to the point where he's like a real threat. He's not just like, I'm Captain Morgan, like whatever in the manga, and he actually like kicks some ass, and he makes himself seem like he's actually kind of threatening as a Marine captain. And so I think they did it pretty well. I think it's about right. Garp, I'm gonna say this may be my first controversial pick. Crappy. So, well, I don't know. Maybe Nami is a controversial pick to put in crappy, but Garp, I'll say is... I only say crappy because he throws fucking temper tantrums. He's really emotionally, like, stirred up in a way that Garp is, like, he's still an emotionally stirred up character in the manga and the anime. He's just more laid back in that stirred upness. This Garp is, like... This is like Attack Dog Garp. Attack Dog Garp does not really exist. You have Garp that does things in the manga. He does very big things, but he's not like gung ho about it. He's sort of very casual in a way that like you'd expect sort of like a Luffy kind of person to be, and that's why like he sort of distances himself from being Luffy like, and I think that's really kind of what hurts him in that portrayal. As opposed to in the manga and the anime where Garp is just kind of like laid back, except for Marineford, except for when he actually is fighting. This Garp is just kind of like, he's not like, come give your grandpa a big hug. It's like, I'm going to test you and all this other shit. It just, I thought that was bad. I thought it was not good. It's one of the detracting factors of One Piece. Like on the opposite end of the spectrum, Buggy, Jeff Ward doing Buggy, like Buggy in the live action is all. I'm also gonna say Buggy in the live action better than Buggy in the manga. Buggy is like a very charismatic, like actually threatening character. Like Buggy wasn't like incredibly threatening in the manga at first. Like Luffy beat him up after like a skirmish and a fight and everything. In this one, it was like kind of he really had control of the situation. He wasn't just kind of shitty king tyrant. Like, this is the kind of guy that you see people... He's definitely an evil dude. Like, they play up his evil pretty well. But, like, you kind of respect him in a lot of ways that you don't even get for Buggy. He does the I want to be king of the pirates thing well before, like, Buggy in the manga, I think, might have only done that recently. Buggy in the live action, like, very, very cool. Like, I'd say about 30% Jim Carrey and 70% Neil Patrick Harris. Like, goofy showman. And that's really kind of what Buggy is. Like, trying to get both of those kinds of types of roles into one. And he did a really good job. Like, I can't, maybe it's a 46. I don't know about the percentages, but just amazing. Like, I don't think that it's really going to surprise me if there's like a minor character or just a generally recurring character that I like more than Buggy. Like, Helmeppo was really, really good. And he's up on the list, but I don't know. We're going to go with Kaya, and I'm going to actually put her in the above average category. Kaya, third time I'm going to say this, I guess, in this little episode here. Kaya in the live action was better than Kaya in the anime and the manga. Because Kaya in the anime and the manga was kind of just like a random, like, generally nice, caring girl. This one is more, she's a lot more, like, forgiving. She's a lot more graceful. She's kind of like very, very, very sweet in ways that kind of get explored more than in the manga and the anime. I don't I don't understand why she's actually like, she feels like a character as opposed to regular Kaya. I don't know. I'm gonna go with live action Kaya being above average. And Kuro, we're gonna go with. I think I'm gonna put him like not quite above Koby, but still in the above average category. I think that like a lot of the acting was really good in this, and I think that Kuro was done about as well as you could expect someone to do. I don't remember this guy's name again, whatever, but the Kuro in the live action pretty much did perfect Kuro, other than like slashing up his subordinates and everything. That's because the writing. I mean, again, anything I have a problem with was the directions, the decisions made in the writing. The acting was kind of like peak. Like this guy really did Kuro very well, and I would also say the same thing about Zeph. Gosh, like it's just a lot of above average. Zeph was really really good. Like I felt like they made Zeph very Zeph in a lot of ways, and they made him kind of like more of a father figure in some sense, rather than just a stoic asshole to Sanji than he was even in the. I mean, it just it works so well. It works so well. Like he they didn't really change the direction that they were going. Zeph is like perfect, just straight ripped out of the manga. Like Alvida, Zeph, and Koby are all like perfectly straight ripped out of the manga characters. Kuro, I think, did some improvements in terms of his character and everything compared to the manga. Kai was definitely better than in the manga. Helmeppo, obviously, like ripped out, but even better. Buggy is just overall pretty good. We're gonna go to another character that maybe an interesting take. So, Dracule Mihawk, to me, I don't know. I put him. I'd put him behind Koby, which is something I don't want to ever say or do or admit to doing. Dracule Mihawk was very very good. For the little bit of time he was on screen, he was very Mihawky, and he was very kind of like uppity and pretentious about the actual swordsmanship, and very kind of casual, doing the Mihawk stuff. You woke me, you disturbed my nap, so I'm gonna cut up all your ships and everything. He did a really good job. I think that like really, we're seeing just an absolute amazing. This is the last pick here. Dismal. Arlong. Arlong was the only really like sore spot I had in the series. Not only was his character not as like interesting of a villain, like this was just kind of Arlong being big tough dude, as opposed to Arlong being like kind of crafty and kind of like intelligent as he is in the manga. He's like, Arlong's way more intelligent than like a freaking Don Krieg or anything like that. In the manga, he's intimidating in every different sense of the word. Like he's not just an asshole who's really buff. With this one, they make him an asshole who's really buff. He's still racist. He still does a lot of the stuff, but it's not there. And part of the issue is that he looks so weird. And his voice was like, I mean, it's fine, I guess, but I don't know. It made me shrink how I felt about Arlong as a character. And I think that like none of these performances were really bad. Like there is no F tier. This is the D tier. And a lot of this really comes down to, I think the casting wasn't that good, but I also think that he just didn't do a very good job like expressing the Arlong parts, if that makes any sense. And yeah, that's all the major One Piece characters live action. This is how I thought of all of them, and as you can see, a lot of good. Like the S tier is like 4, the above average is like half the whole cast. Like it's just so good. Like there's so much to love about these One Piece characters in general, but the actors portraying them, they did in almost all circumstances a very very good job. Now, some of this could be the writing, some of this could be the direction taken. I don't know about these three in the C and D tier. I think that for Garp, it was tough because they didn't really write Garp like he was supposed to be like Garp. For Arlong, I just think it was iffy. When it comes to Nami, I don't know what I was necessarily expecting with Nami, but I just felt like she fell flat, and that really is the crappy Nami is way way worse than crappy Garp or dismal Arlong, because Nami is a continuous part of the series. Maybe she gets better. Maybe it ends up being better Nami, than early like East Blue Nami. Might not be as good as like Alabasta Nami in the live action, but who knows. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. We should have hopefully have a video where I go in depth on like how my predictions turned out and all that stuff. Hopefully have that up soon. Thank you guys for sticking around, and see you guys next time.